there's a difference between someone seeing you and someone interpreting you. If you've ever been in a relationship where you felt constantly misunderstood, questioned, or like something was just subtly off, you've probably experienced this difference firsthand, even if you didn't have language for it at the time. Some people don't actually respond to who you are, they respond to what they think you are. And those are not the same thing. So let's talk about how to tell early on, before you're emotionally invested in explaining yourself over and over, before you start questioning your own reality. What does it mean to be seen versus interpreted? When someone is seeing you, they're taking in your words, your behavior, your energy, and they're responding to that independently of anything else. It's like there's an openness, a willingness to understand you as you are, even when you're different from them, because everyone is different, right? But when someone is interpreting you, they're not really responding to you. They're responding to a mental filter as it's like a lens that can be shaped by their past, their habits, their fears, or just how they move through the world in general. So instead of experiencing what you're actually doing, they translate it into something else. And that translation is where things start to go sideways. Sign number 1, they assign motives instead of asking questions. This is one of the clearest indicators. Instead of saying, hey, what did you mean by that? They say things like, you said that because you're trying to fill in the blank, right? I already know what you're doing, but you do? How, right? There's an assumption of intent without trying to get any kind of clarity or understanding of what's actually going on, or making sure that they understand where you're coming from. And that's key, because curiosity is what allows someone to see you. Assumption is what leads them to interpret you instead of seeing you. If someone consistently jumps to conclusions about your motives, they're not engaging with you in real time. They're filling in the blanks with their own story. Sign number 2, your explanations don't stick. You explain something, it's simple, it's clear, it makes sense. And in the moment, they might even seem to accept it. But then later, it comes back. The same suspicion, the same misunderstanding, the same narrative about you. So now you're explaining the same thing again. And that's not a communication breakdown issue. That's a lens issue, the lens that they're seeing you through. Because when someone is actually seeing you versus interpreting you, new information updates their understanding. So when someone is interpreting you, new information gets overridden by their existing beliefs. So it doesn't matter how clearly you explain yourself, their internal storyline stays the same. Sign number 3, neutral behavior gets loaded with meaning. And this one is definitely subtle. You take a little longer to respond to a message, and it becomes you're pulling away. You're friendly or polite to someone, and it becomes you're being disrespectful. You're flirting with them. You do something completely neutral, and suddenly it carries a meaning that you never put there. That's interpretation. It's when someone takes ordinary behavior and charges it with intention, implication, or a threat to them in some kind of way. And the important thing to notice here is not just what they're saying, it's how often it happens, because patterns matter more than isolated moments. Sign number 4, you start feeling like you have to manage how you're perceived. And this is very much like walking on eggshells, right? This is where it starts to affect you internally. You might notice that you're choosing your words more carefully. You're pre-explaining things that don't really need explanation. You're thinking ahead about how something might be taken. There's a subtle pressure for you to not be misunderstood, and that pressure doesn't come from nowhere. It usually means on some level you've already picked up that if I just show up naturally, I might be misread in some way. That's your nervous system recognizing the pattern before your mind fully catches up. Sign number 5, conversations feel slightly off, even when nothing big is actually happening. This one is a little harder to put into words, but people feel it. You can be having like a normal conversation and something just doesn't land right. It might feel like you're being responded to kind of sideways, or the reaction doesn't quite match what you said. There's a disconnect between your intention and their response. You're not being directly attacked or anything, but you're also not being fully received. That's often what being interpreted feels like in real time. Sign number 6, they seem more certain about you than they should be. Early on, nobody should be overly certain about your intentions or your patterns or your character. I mean, they don't even know you yet, right? Real understanding takes actual time. So when someone is very quick to define you or very confident about what you meant, quote unquote, very sure about what you're going to do next, it's usually not coming from observation necessarily. It's coming from assumption, from that lens that they're interpreting you through, right? An assumption is the foundation of interpretation. Sign number 7, you feel like you're being translated. This is the deeper layer of everything we've talked about. It's the sense that what you say isn't what they hear. What you do isn't what they experience. It's almost like if you speak English and the person that you're communicating with speaks Spanish, and neither one of you speaks the other's language. So you have an interpreter standing there, right, who is interpreting the information to each of you. And you tell the interpreter to tell the other person, hey, I have a small dog. And the interpreter says to that other person, hey, they have a pink elephant. I mean, right? It's like a translation, that a total breakdown in translation. And it's like there's a middle step happening. It's like you, their filter, and then their version of you. And that version starts to take on like a life of its own. So now you're not just relating to them, you're relating to their interpretation of you. And this matters early on because this pattern doesn't fix itself with time. In fact, it just gets stronger. The more emotionally involved you become, the more you might try to clarify, prove yourself, try to be understood. But if the issue is the lens, then no matter the amount of explaining anything that you do, none of that is going to change what that lens produces. And that's where people can get stuck. You know, they might think if I'm consistent enough, clear enough, patient enough, they'll finally understand, they'll finally see me. But you can't force someone to see you clearly if they're committed, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, to interpreting you instead. So early on, instead of just asking, like, do they like me? Ask this, like, do they understand me? Or are they deciding what I mean for me? Because those are two completely different experiences. And the right people won't need to rewrite you in order to relate to you. They won't need to assign hidden motives to your behavior. They won't need to second guess your intentions at every turn. They might not understand you perfectly, but they'll stay open, they'll ask, and they'll adjust. And most importantly, they'll let you be the one who defines what you mean instead of their assumptions.